Hey guys, Matt Walkser here from Wheels Through Time. I'm standing next to one of the most remarkable original examples of a motorcycle anywhere in the world. 1919 Harley-Davidson factory fast motor. I'll tell you about this bike in a minute. We're back here on our drive for history. Wheels Through Time is going to be bringing you new and exclusive content all summer about rare machines, the stories, the people, the bikes that make this place what it is. If you dig what you're seeing, make sure you get on to wheelsthroughtime.com/donate, make a contribution today, visit our online gift shop, or buy a raffle ticket at winning a chance a piece of motorcycle history. Now, the bike at hand, guys, incredible 1919 Harley-Davidson 61 cubic inch factory fast motor road model. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful. I'll tell you what all that means here in just a second. Now, the bike, as you can imagine, okay, 1919, Harley-Davidson was just moving past World War I production. They'd really fine-tuned their production machine into really a factory that was capable of producing 10s, 20,000 motorcycles at a time over the span of a year. This machine is an entirely special bike, and it really all focuses right around the engine. Now, the Harley-Davidson in 1913, hired away Bill Ottaway from Thor. Now, Bill was an engineer, immediately took over Harley-Davidson's racing department in 1914 and developed what we call the fast motor. Okay, now, the fast motor today in front of us, 1919. So really one of the neatest things about this is that from the early days, 1914, Harley-Davidson stumbled onto a combination that just worked so well that they used it on their racing machines all the way through the early 1920s. Now, starting with the engine, this is what we call a narrow case racing motor, okay? Now, as you can see, this bike's got headlights, tail lights, horn. It's got a charging system, generator, distributor, coil, key switch here, battery box. It's not a racing motorcycle, but yet it's got this racing engine stuffed in here. And the racing engine itself, entirely all special components. So while this motor looks virtually identical to a stock motor of its day, every single piece is different. The cases are what we call narrow racing cases, set on the 1914 case molds. In 1915, Harley-Davidson beefed up their engine, bigger flywheels, bigger crank pin, beefier connecting rods. Well, what that did was it placed their top end components further away from center and ended up the racing engines for early 1915 were actually slower than the 1914 examples. So very quickly they went back to the 1914 narrow case racing platform, and that's what our 1919 factory fast motor road model here is based on. So with the narrow racing cases, special cylinders, okay? So the cylinders move the valve in closer to the bore. So it's just less distance for air-fuel mixture to travel on the way in and on the way out. So special manifold, special cam, steel flywheels inside of this engine. Normally they had the cast iron flywheels, steel racing type flywheels, and the small 1914 Harley-Davidson connecting rods. So one incredible bike, and as you can see, the fit and finish of the motorcycle overall is just remarkable. It's just one of the most amazing original condition examples that I've ever seen. Original nickel plating here on the handlebars, horn, headlight with an original green visor lens. It's got the original accessory light, horn button, beautiful Corbin speedometer here, 80-mile-an-hour speedometer, and believe it or not, this bike is capable of quite a bit more than 80 miles per hour. 61 cubic inch, 1,000 cc's. It's a 3-speed example, and now the history of the bikes really is detailed back to its original owner. We found this bike at the Las Vegas motorcycle auction. I think it may have been 2012 or 2013. Now, the bike had come from the family of the original owner in Pennsylvania. The fellow's name was Miller Barco, and Miller Barco actually ordered this machine specially from the Harley-Davidson factory with a racing engine in it. So at the auction, my dad and I were rooting around the auction, just checking out the floor and seeing what was going to be up for sale over the coming days. And my dad had stumbled across this motor, or this machine, and immediately from across the room made some quick glances at the motor. Now, some of the identifying characteristics on the left side of the engine is really where you can see that narrow case. Okay, so there's a really defined line right in here. The narrow case. Your later cases in 1915, this line isn't quite there. Secondly, next thing he sees is this ported racing air sleeve here. Now, the early Schebler carburetors had a really primitive air metering device. There's kind of a tapered leather flap in here that's spring loaded. So as that engine draws in air fuel mixture, the air is actually being metered by the spring tension on that leather flap. Well, high RPM racing engines tend to kind of exceed the capability of this sort of air metering system. So what they had was this ported racing air sleeve. So as you get to high RPMs and it starts to break up, you can bypass the leather flap and open the air ports directly. So that's what they mean by a ported racing air sleeve. So when you know what you're looking at, you see this sort of thing from across the room. So next thing he sees is you see in the narrow racing case, the ported racing air sleeve. Next is VIN number inspection. Okay, so racing engines, fast motors as we call them 500 motors. Okay, that means the production number started at 500, where your standard engine started at 1,000. As you can see, this one, L19A 595. So L meaning electrically equipped, 19 being the year, A being the version of the motor, and then 595. So this isn't a racing VIN number that somebody could have stamped on some standard engine cases. It all fits together piece by piece. Cases, cylinders, carburetor, VIN number, it all has to match up to really make this machine what it is. And this bike is so untampered with. It's just a real time capsule, and we're proud to have it here on display. So anyway, Dale ended up being the lucky bidder at the auction. Had some pretty stiff competition, but ended up coming away with the machine. We brought the bike home and it sat for several years, and about a year and a half ago, we kind of got the motivation to get this bike back up and running. Believe it or not, it didn't take much. So what we're going to do is fire this thing up again for you so you can listen to it purr. No battery in the battery box right now, so what I'm going to do is jump it off of the battery charger. I'm going to hook up the hot wire. We'll ground out to the rear stand. Flip this charger on and I'll take you through the starting procedure. First things first, turn the fuel on. Back around the other side, Steve. What you've got here is the choke. Okay, you got 3 adjustments. Choke is off, choke is half on for warming up, choke is fully on. And basically what that does is changes the spring tension on the air metering device, makes it more difficult for air to come in, and really sets the machine up with more fuel. So here we go. This bike, key on, ought to be one kick. Runs like a brand new bike. It's got 4,916 miles on the odometer. So it's like a brand new bike. It's probably never been taken apart. It starts and runs and idles just like it should. What a machine. 1919 factory fast motor, only at Wheels Through Time. Guys, thanks for tuning into our Drive for History. Thanks for all your contributions, and we'll see you next time.